Matt Ben Banworth and everything. Okay, we got it ready, guys? Okay. All right. For the delay, here we are. We're going to get started. Thanks so much. And it looks like we have everybody through the Idaho Technology Council YouTube channel. And thank you for welcome everybody to the Idaho Technology Council Idaho 2021, which is actually taking place in 2022 because we'll be talking about the year of 2021. This is our hybrid edition, which is kind of interesting because last year we did this all virtually, and now we're going to have people that are actually in the audience. Thank you for those who have come here. Several people in the audience, even those participating, have been on because of COVID protocol, where they've been exposed to COVID or something else, and so they've had to do in Zoom. So excited about the opportunity to talk about the things that are taking corners of our state. Several people talking about unique and what's different about Idaho. I'll give you a unique insight into this. Last Friday, the Idaho Association of Counties and Idaho Association, as well as the Idaho Taxpayers of Idaho, put together a meeting on property taxes. What I was amazed at, there were people from across the country that came to tax and in property taxes. One was from the Lincoln that said that Idaho best tax policy in the United States out of all the 50 states. That's pretty amazing. Tax burden for its of its state. So that tells you right there some of the things is Idaho is very well positioned. We'll talk about that as we even go further along. But what is the Idaho equation? And what we're beginning as a mining state, rich in natural resources, we have moved into a state that now has really big things with timber, agriculture, technology, advanced manufacturing, food processing, and we are a state that now has aerospace and other areas that are really different. Discussing parts of the knowledge. You'll hear from our six economic regions about their vision reports that they have. Our technology co-chairs, Derek Ellis and Kaz Lawler. Derek is the CEO of Vessel, and we'll also be listening from companies throughout the state. So I'd like to introduce Steve Frisco, and Steve is joining us virtually, is also a partner, Axel, a member of the board. To us, make an introduction. Steve, welcome.
It probably means something different to everybody, but I think there's some common themes. And for me, one of the things is, and I think this is, we've heard this numerous times, is the quality of life here. And it almost goes without saying at this point, but I'm looking out my office window here, looking at snow-covered Bogus and other foothills and mountains, and remembering when I first moved to Idaho a while ago, let's just say, from New England, and moved to Sun Valley, and it was the mountains up there and the mountains in Idaho that really captivated me. The winters brought me there, but every other season kept me there. It's sort of a bastardized saying from Sun Valley: the mountains bring you, the summers keep you, but it's really true. That the quality of life is really important. And the other thing that I remember looking back when I moved out here, and I think this is still true to some extent, I grew up in Maine, and I remember looking at a map with my dad before I made the trek west. And, we concluded that Idaho has about twice the land area of the state of Maine, and at that time, the same number of people. So I thought that was a pretty good ratio. Twice the land, half or same amount of people, so twice the space, I guess. We're seeing obviously that's changed, especially down near the Treasure Valley, and I guess along the I-84 corridor. That's changed, and certainly more people have moved here, and it's more crowded. But I still think we have a lot of the open space and a lot of the quality of life, all the quality of life things that brought all of us here and keep all of us here. And I think it's important to remember that, because I think it's important that we all do our part to maintain that quality of life and that brought us here. And I think that the other thing we have going for us, the other part of this equation, the Idaho equation, is we do have some really strong talent. And as Jay mentioned just a few minutes ago, I think Idaho has a history of talent and innovation. I think back to the days of Boise Cascade starting out here, and the history of that company. Micron started here. Simplot, obviously. These are Morrison Knudsen. These are legacy names in Idaho. But then you look forward to today, and that innovation's continued, and you have companies like Clearwater and Count and T-Sheets and companies like Booty who are starting here and really growing rapidly. And then I'm sure that there's dozens, maybe hundreds of other companies that none of us have ever heard of that are either getting started in someone's garage or basement these days, or are a germ, a kernel of an idea in somebody's mind. So I think there's a lot of talent and a lot of history and current innovation going on here. So I think that ecosystem, even though that word might be overused, that ecosystem is here, and I think that there's a lot of a lot that draws people here to help feed that ecosystem. And I think that we're seeing. I saw an article the other day, and this isn't the first time, about how companies from the coast, particularly Silicon Valley, are starting to reach in here and hire talent in Idaho to work remotely for companies on the coast at Silicon Valley salaries. That tells me that we have a good talent pool here, an attractive talent pool. And I'm sure that there's a cost advantage to doing that, but I also think that we've got those people here, and we should leverage that. And and Jay's talked about this over the last several years, that having that base of people here creates the ecosystem, and the ecosystem, if we feed it, will continue to grow and to develop. And that's really another piece of the Idaho equation is bringing people here and continuing to develop that ecosystem that will just continue to spin off new innovations and new companies. And then the other thing we have all these other resources here. The governor's just announced his education bill. We have the INL. That's a tremendous resource that spins off an incredible number of ideas and technologies. I think sometimes we forget, or I forget, just how much technology is coming out of the INL. So that's really my view of what the Idaho equation is, and I encourage us to keep leveraging what we have, to keep encouraging new people and new and more diverse people and ideas to come here and continue to strengthen and build and expand our ecosystem, and just continue to grow on what we already have. And now, Jay, I think we have Governor Little up to speak to us about the state of Idaho's.
Hi, I'm Governor Brad Little. It's no secret Idaho's economy is booming, thanks in large part to Idaho businesses. We have demonstrated great resiliency and agility during the pandemic. Idaho ranks first for revenue growth, and we have one of the strongest strongest economies in the country. We have consistently remained a top 10 state for lowest unemployment rate, and the list goes on and on. We're doing a lot of things right, governing with responsibility, maintaining a high quality of life, listening to businesses about what they need and don't need from government. As we continue to work to address the challenges that accompany rapid growth, we know prosperity is always welcome. We are actively positioning our state to create opportunity for this generation while making significant investments in key areas that produce long-term benefits for the next one. A diversified economy is a strong economy. I appreciate the work of the Idaho Technology Council in assembling leaders in the industry, education, and workforce development to meet the needs of a growing tech industry in Idaho. The Idaho Knowledge Report recognizes different parts of the state that have different needs. Thank you to all those who participate in these efforts. I appreciate the time and the talent you dedicate to developing strategies that result in industry-leading products and services right here in Idaho. Your work is creating more opportunity for the citizens of our great state. Thank you.
Well, that's fantastic. Thanks, Steve Frinsko, and we really appreciate Governor Little, who has been a champion of innovation ever since he was Lieutenant Governor, and we're so appreciative of the work that he does to be able to drive innovation in our state. I'd also like to take a moment just to be able to thank our sponsors of this event. We have Holly Troxel, who is our presenting sponsor, Alturas, Idaho Central Credit Union, C308 Marketing, and contributions from the Idaho National Laboratory and the Research and Business Development Center in Eastern Idaho. Thank you for all the work that you've done to put together an Idaho Knowledge Report. All right, now we get the opportunity to move to our first keynote speaker. Jeet Kumar is an accomplished writer and is the CEO of In-Time Tech, which is one of those companies that about 11 years ago was one that started in what I was at a garage, where they had started after a group of people with Jeet were at Hewlett Packard, and they decided to start In-Time Tech. And In-Time Tech is a software development company that helps teams reach their goals. Jeet is also the incoming executive chair of the Idaho Technology Council, who will be replacing Paris Cole, who is the CEO of Truckstop.com. So it becomes a great honor. This is where we'll be announcing that change in leadership with the Idaho Technology Council with Jeet. We would like to thank Jeet for his vision and leadership that he had, and welcome him to the stage to be able to talk to us today.
Probably it will work from here. Okay, good. When I look at my life, I have played a role of a team member, and also I have done a bit of work as a leader. And I'm sure the people who are in this room, and also those who are have logged in and watching this one virtually, probably have done the similar kind of. There must be a team member at some point of time and a leader, and still be a team member and a leader, and perhaps doing both. But when I look at leader as a word, you don't need a leader until a future is needed to be created. And a future cannot and will not be possible until leader shows up. And so when you look at leader and creation of the future, they go hand in hand. We're talking about equation. There is another part of the equation is team. A leader can't and will not be able to do much without having a team. and you replace the leader and you replace everything for the team. So when I look at the creation of a future, a key to creating a future, you need a leader, right? And in this case, the leader, and the team, and their relationship. And who is more important? Don't know. They go hand in hand. This is like a balance of the equation. The leader is the spirit of the team. It's critical. As I shared, you replace the leader, you replace everything. And so leader has to have a mindset. The being state of the leader is critical. And how do you ensure that your being state, when I see our company, when I show up at In Time Tech, I want to make sure before I step into the company, I ask few questions to myself. And that I do every morning. It's like part of my ritual. And the questions which I ask are, is something bothering me? What we are talking, the importance of a leader, because the spirit of the leader is the spirit of the team, and how to ensure that leader has the right speed by checking the being state. Is something bothering me? Am I incomplete about something? Something which I had done yesterday. Something that I was not able to complete with myself. Maybe I was not kind to one of the team members. Maybe I did not acknowledge someone. I forgot. Or I might not be good to my wife. Don't know what I might complete, because if something is not complete here, whole, I cannot show up as a leader for other people. And then last one, which I ask myself a question, am I ready to show up as a leader? Because when you are a leader, you have a lot on your shoulder, and you better be ready. And you just ready to launch yourself. And that allows me to make sure that my being state is absolutely critical. In fact, I'm so much gotten by with these questions. I created a journal, and send me. I have a book. I'm more than happy to send it to you guys, and people are logging in virtually, because these questions need to be grounded. And yet you can show up in an office with your team member, and a gap of understanding, there might be misunderstanding, can exist, because that's the nature. The bigger the purpose, the bigger the work, the larger the scope, you are always in action. But the being state you're in will that you close the gap by not being irritated, or somebody asks you a question and you might not feel, oh, he's questioning my intent. That team member just ask you a question, just answer that question. If I'm clear about what I'm up to creating, you will be able to make things happen as a leader for other people. Another thing which I see for myself, and this, by the way, I'm not teaching, I'm not preaching, I'm sharing what I practice every day. And that's who I am, and that's what I stand for. I believe that if you are peaceful inside, if you are loving, if you are joyful, you can radiate that around. And anyone who come in that prayer can feel that peace, joy, and love. Nelson Mandela has wrote a poem which talks about that if you are liberated, your presence will liberate other people. Because that's how it is the case. And as a leader, you are that kind of a liberated human being. which allows other people to show up fully and ready to go. I'm going to continue to talk. Team, I'm looking at the slides here because there is nothing on front, so I want to make sure I'm talking to people who are virtually. I'm not ignoring or avoiding to make sure. So I'll keep flipping between these two. We talked about the equation, and I'll go back to mathematical equation. Left side of the equation and right side of the equation. And when I was going through you prove the mathematical equation, left is equal to right, and it's a balance. So if you are a leader, which I talked about, you peaceful, joyful, loving, and if you are a team or a team member, I look at you must be compassionate and graceful and kind toward the leader. What I share, leader has a lot to carry on. And as a team, you can be that human being. And I'm talking about one person of the team or a group of people within the team. If you can show up that way for your leader, it allows to have an open, caring communication. Leadership is a two-way street. It has to be the balance which I talked about as a part of the equation. In my world, leadership is to creating that future and possibility. In the start, I talked about if you don't need a future, if a creation of the future is not required, you don't need a leader. If you are sitting in your drawing room and watching a TV, you don't need a leader. You just enjoy your life. Next generation technology, or take this great state of Idaho to the next level, for example, or any organization. You better be a leader. And how do you create? By having a creation in your mind and having a clear vision outside. Vision Idaho, we're talking, Jay, right? What is Vision Idaho? It's just like creating a future where talent and capital and then education and ecosystem can be created. That's the vision. And in order to make that happen, a leader like you, Jay, and other folks in this room are required. So the key for leadership is creating that possibility, and that can only happen by broadcasting a vision. And what kind of vision? And I'll put it, all of them here. A vision which is clear, shared, very inspiring vision. You can measure, and that you go to the next one. It's like I call it a mountain with no top. We achieve 20% growth. Great, let's celebrate, let's go to 20% or 40%. It's never-ending process. And that's the job of a leader also. It's you have that stamina. You must have the stamina to continue go from peak to peak. Once you achieve, you celebrate, you go to the next one. That brings us what kind of characteristics of a leader should be available for the team member. We talked about a visionary. A leader has to be visionary. The second point which I talked about, problem solver. If you ever want to measure the size of a leader, look at the size of problem they solve. Bigger the problem they solve, bigger the leader they are. Just simple measurement, I'm telling you. You can measure. And they must lead by an example. Lead by example is the key. In our company, at In Time Tech, I would never ask anyone to do anything until I'm willing to do it first. I need to show up. If I'm asking team member to work, let's say 8 hours a day, I would better do 10 hours a day first. If I'm asking them to do 10, I should be better do 12 hours a day. And you have to lead by an example. Lead by example is a key for a leader. What are the leader's commitment? When they look at the team members, they should continue to take that feedback. In fact, I call it a feed forward. Feedback is all about past. You cannot change the past, but you can learn something out of it. Past teaches you. So I mostly, in our company, we use the word feed forward, which allow you to get to know what I can do better next time. Definitely going to be based on the past, but what it is. So the question which asks, what should I start doing? What should I stop doing? And what should I continue to do? That allows us to continue to create the future that we are committed to create. And that required leader to be having a lot of generosity. Humility is another characteristic of a leader. You need to be open. You need to be loving and caring, but you need to let go that ego. I share about in the start, when you are peaceful, joyful, loving, caring, kind, the identity and ego don't show up. And so asking those questions, because the vision that you need to achieve is key. Okay, so let's talk about a quick one about what team must do. Team should be committed toward the future that your leader and you both agreed upon. You can't be wishy-washy. You cannot, oh, I'm kind of doing, and then you just turn around and do something else. A team member must be compassionate. Compassionate amongst the team members and towards the leader. And the last, but certainly not least, is the collaboration, the collaborative approach with the size of the vision, the size of the creation required that collaboration. So that's why I look at our team members. When I ask, are you committed toward the future? Are you going to be compassionate? Are you going to work together? This simple question which I ask team members as a leader is that, are you going to that person that I can count on you, that will you tell me when something is not going right? Will you communicate with me? Will you take responsibility for the work that is in your plate, that you have taken on, that you have agreed upon to create? And can I count on you? The accountability of the work and the creation is key. Okay, so just like what I do in the morning, I ask those few questions. In the morning when I get up and grab a cup of coffee, when the day is over, I have a 30 minutes commute and I ask few reflection question. I say the prayer is the key to creation. The reflection is key to growth. And the similar question which I ask every evening, how could I have shown up differently today? Let's say this meeting is here today. When I'll go, I will surely ask, could I have done differently something? Right? Every day, asking that question allow me to be grounded. So another one question I ask, did I miss something? And then suddenly, how can I do better? How can I be better as a person, as a leader, as a contributor? How can I be better? And then whatever it comes out of that reflection, take required action. I at times send message to folks the moment I reach home. There are many examples. Right now we are short of time, but I could share many things which I've done in this context that allow me to grow every day. So leadership is a lifelong journey. I also share this, entrepreneurial journey is also a lifelong journey. And it's a journey of a dark, lonely, and at times a journey where you just feel like, okay, something needs to be done. Right? So I ask myself, am I committed as a leader? Because at the end of the day, leader must serve other people. I'm going to keep bringing the equation part of it. The creation, being a servant leader, being someone who's committed to bigger than himself or herself, all of that is required for a leader. So if you are a leader, I'm asking you in the folks who are in the room and the people who are virtual, if you are a leader right now or playing a leadership role, by the way, you can be a leader in the one context and a team member in a different context. You are always playing roles. So it's not about, oh, you are the leader only. You can have a different role. But if you are playing a leadership role, ask this question. Is how am I showing up for my team? And do I work hard to lead my team effectively? Playing a role of a team member, ask this question. How am I showing up for my leader? And do I work with my leader shoulder to shoulder and help him or her to lead effectively? And that brings us, I came up with this quote which truly touches my heart. And leadership is also not a designation or it's not a status. You need to earn. So a leader must earn team's trust and respect, while team must treat the leader with grace and kindness. That only leader that will allow leader to continuously do the hard work. And for team, if leader is not earning the trust and respect, they will not follow you. So the future which you are committed to create would not be possible without these things. So if you are committed to creating the future, a team and a leader, and you can keep growing up, because the possibilities are endless. In our company, we grew up from nothing. Jay shared here, we started in a garage and a basement. And right now we are 800 people team worldwide. We have grown up from nothing to close to $30 million top line. And it is not about showing off or impressing anyone, but impressing upon a point that when a leader shows up and works closely with team, and when team become committed together and being compassionate and work in collaboration, a lot of creation can happen. Okay? So thank you for the opportunity. Here's my email address and few contact details. Send me a message. I have, which I talked about the journal, and we'll ship it to you, to your address if you ever want to read more. And new book is also coming, right, Tasha? Create an impact later part of the year. Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you, folks, for calling in. And thank you, Jay, for the opportunity. I appreciate this.
Thank you, Jeet. Let's hear it for Jeet Kumar. Thank you, Jeet. Really quickly, I wanted to the name Elijah McCoy. Raise your hand if you heard of Elijah McCoy. And people need to find solutions, unless you're a couch potato, right, Jeet? Like you were talking about. So you need solutions. Elijah McCoy, they had a major problems as the steam engine started across the country to be able to move a steam engine from the east coast to the west, right? It had to go about 75 miles system. So they always had to stop and lubricate. A gentleman called Elijah McCoy who came up with a system where you could install a self-lubricating system as you keep on going across the country. So then when that happened, some people tried to imitate it, but they weren't as good as what Elijah McCoy. So have you ever heard the deal, the real McCoy? From Elijah McCoy, because steam engine as it went across. I'm going to say that because G. Kumar, as he talked about the impact it has for us to be able to find solutions, is the real McCoy. And find innovation and solutions we have. The Idaho Knowledge Report and the report from each of the 6 economic regions. So now we get the opportunity. Before we do that, we have our chairs from the Idaho Tech Committee. Derek Ellis, come on over, Derek. Derek is the CEO of Vessel, a supply chain solutions company for growing technology companies. Kat Tomler, who is now the former CEO of Accents, which was an early stage company that grew here, and was acquired by Emerson, is now the lead innovation technology and technologies with Emerson as part of Cargo Solutions group focused on providing supply chain monitoring and tracking solutions worldwide. Kaz and Derek, welcome.
Woo, I missed the firework.
The fireworks, yeah, let's hear it. Can you guys, any thoughts on the Idaho equation as you guys look at this from your perspective?
Jay, it all begins with innovation. Commercialization and scale for growing companies starts here.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we are scripts. Yeah, but no prompters.
Yeah.
And at Tech to Market, our goal is to make those connections for Idaho companies to stimulate and support innovation driving to commercialization.
Which is awesome. So innovation and technology and the development they're in. So it's the key of what differentiates any economic region is how you focus on innovation and technology. So if we can do that, maybe we can start going down the list and introducing our
Region to region, that's a great idea.
Speaking of leadership.
Yeah. Well, we are now going to talk to each of the economic regions in Idaho, beginning with Region 1 and Ginny Gilliam. Ginny? Ginny is president of Jobs Plus, the Coeur d'Alene Area Economic Development Corporation, where she works to create vital communities in the region. Most recently, the tech and aerospace industries have been highly successful.
Welcome, Ginny Gilliam.
Thank you. Okay, so let me start with the successful Idaho equation in North Idaho is because of what Jeet just mentioned. There are some amazing leaders and amazing teams that are working in North Idaho right now, so thank you. So I'm going to talk about the good things at the back end because, you know, as you all know, high growth creates a lot of challenges. So I'm going to talk about the challenges first, and on the back end, I'll talk about other good things that are happening. You'll read all about it in the tech report anyhow. So one of the major things also happening here in Boise is the housing challenge. Right now we have 145 homes listed in the MLS. 14 are under 500,000. 14, 1-4, under 500,000. So that's been a major challenge up in North Idaho. We did build a regional housing and growth group that are addressing the issues that are coming up with that. Our Idaho organization just commissioned a study with the University of Idaho to address the numbers, the straight numbers on the and availability of housing. The preliminary report is scary, according to my executive board. They just all reviewed it before it goes out for the public at the end of the month. It looks like we're going to be thousands upon thousands short if we don't change some of the rules and regulations in terms of density and a few other things like that. The second biggest issue we have that is across the nation. We are also working on that. The state, through Workforce Development Council and IACI, formed the Talent Pipeline Management Program. It was created by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. North Idaho is engaged in that, and we are starting with the construction, health, and manufacturing industry. So those are the two big challenges that we are facing. There are other little things, of course. Before the program started, we were talking traffic. It's all relative, of course. We think if we sit or waste, stop waiting, we think it's not. I grew up in Los Angeles. Okay, so for the good things, like I said, all the industries are doing well. We talked about the aerospace industry. They were of the pandemic, but they actually a lot of them pivoted very quickly to the medical industry because a lot of the businesses were already working in the medical industry. So aerospace and medical device manufacturing, pretty similar. They both standards. They both have very diligent, very thorough testing procedures. So a lot of the companies already engaged in medical manufacturing found that their supply chains were broken, of course, because of the pandemic. So because they had networked together for the last 5 to 6 years on aerospace through our I-90 aerospace conference, they knew each other. So they connected locally, so it really helped galvanize the aerospace industry even more, actually helped really localize. the industry even more. And then one of the things that's really key for that success 90 is because we worked together with Washington, and so we were a larger region, we were able some of the large OEMs, including Boeing, Bombardier, and to do some B2B businesses with our small businesses. So on to the good news. Like I said, all the industries are doing well, like the slow, all sorts of things like that. Housing market is strong. With that one. So even some of the industries that were hit hard are actually doing a lot better now. Here, our tourism and service industry did well, in part because we had a lot and we had the Washington residents crossing, visiting us on the other side. The other businesses, like I said, I-90, the aerospace, manufacturing in general is also doing well. Professional services, and you heard Jay, Steve, right? Reason businesses keep coming over and are coming over from the coastal areas. Location in North Idaho is terrific, and that really is thank you to the leadership and the teams that are available and working together in North Idaho. Okay, and then pages. I will also cover. Okay, they also wanted us to highlight one of the area. So about People, it is spelled P-I-P-L. They are a global company operating at River Bend, so it's just right on the border by Post Falls. So what they do is, this is the way to explain it, just with your email, they can find anything public about you. So I know that sounds scary, but it's actually a good thing. Okay, so some of their clients are like Signify, Google, Microsoft, Gartner, Cigna, Safeway, a lot of financial institutions. So an example would be when I went to go see them and they were explaining how this technology works is just with my Ginny at cdaedc.org, they can find pretty much anything public about me where I've worked, right? All the different things that are publicly listed about me. So if I were ordering from Amazon, for instance, or from Safeway or whoever I happen to be ordering from, they'll know that I'm a real person if they're hooked up to People's entity, because they know that there's a history behind me. And if suddenly somebody orders and delivers something in North Dakota, there is nothing in my background that shows that anything I order should ever end up in North Dakota. So they'll probably know that that's a fraudulent transaction. By the same token, if you're a bank and you're getting ready to loan something out, I will have a history. So I actually am an actual real person that you should be able to loan to, as opposed to someone that was just created, let's say, a week ago, who wouldn't have all the history that they can find with me. So they are doing really well. We recruited them out of a different state into the area, and a lot of that has to do with they just wanted to come to Idaho. One of the things we do is we do try to find the companies that want to be here, that operate well here. The incentives we have, we use that as a last effort, and only when we're in a toss-up between another location and us, and it's really just to help with the capital funds that they have for that area. So this company started with about 40 people. They've had to break through a wall, purposely, so that they can expand, and they're at about 200 people now, and I know that they are continuing to look for people to operate their program and get bigger. Okay, there you go.
Thank you, Jenny.
Awesome.
I didn't have to get some.
I like that. People work looking for people. That was really good, Jenny. I like that.
People and leadership. That's the tone. As Jenny pointed out, tech and aerospace has seen significant transformation and manufacturing in the northern region of Idaho, and we enjoyed hearing about people. Thank you.
And it looks like we have someone else joining us.
Their ideas directly from us as dealers and from the growers that we pass on. They do most of that development, using CAD programs, 3D printers to develop product. They allow us as unique They must be designed in order for water needs and water efficiency. Results in lower inputs and higher photogrammetry to collect the data on the fields. This data is collected either sometimes we use a public available LiDAR data, and oftentimes we use drones utilizing photogrammetry, digital site information in the field that we need. Georeference data is paired with the field imagery to set the stage for an accurate drip irrigation design. CAD programs we use to simulate water hydraulics within drip hydraulics and pipelines and the drip water, which in turn allows us to select still have allowed my company to provide in technology in my world. I would say I've seen the most improvement in technology over the years. List of technology, growers, crops, drip irrigation system, which in turn gives them the ability quicker and more accurate. There are many types of services that provide data, including cellular several years. Advanced levels of technology allow these growers to automate with the ability to irrigation schedules and fertilizer injections are operated automatically. Alerts can be sent to growers if problems occur. Valuable such as system pressure, temperature, humidity, and other data. This is also used to document for food consumer to my company the competitive edge, and so I can keep my growers competitive and to have more efficient safety, health.
So just real quick, am I sharing swap?
Looks good.
A few of the high, population, education, transportation, these were all things that popped out as we were kind of looking at this Idaho equation and how our state was doing in all of its regions. So a few things that I wanted to highlight today was population growth. So there was significant population growth in Idaho as well as Utah. So we fell just short of Utah. Over that, Utah. So we fell just short of Utah. Some of the counties in the state grew. The counties on the far left side of the screen here are some of the biggest counties in the state, which is these others are falling below 2% unemployment, which is incredible. In fact, almost half of the counties here in 19 and 20 and 16%. Interesting thing that we notice here is the demographic shift that's occurring. Individuals that are moving in. So in 2019, there was almost a 1-to-1 ratio between moving age 21 to 40 to age 61 and older. And in 2020, that was a Spider-Man movie, but we were trying to figure out where are these people working. Some of them are working from home, and trying to find information to shed light on that was really tricky. We've witnessed is the new Bureau of Labor across index. Idaho is leading the nation in the home price index increase from looking at previous. I know that those of us who are long-term residents in Idaho, we kind of watch this happen, and it's interesting to see back to you and answer any questions you might have. The world is flat. People are finding places to live and work. that match their interests, and Idaho definitely.
Things is a real challenge. We actually had a developer approach the College of Southern Idaho to build an apartment complex on our campus because of the dearth of available real estate to build those kinds of projects. But we are making some progress down there. Obviously, sometime talking about what I call ag innovation and some of the things that are happening there. The 90 U of I intends to build what they call the discussion in might look the tremendous collaboration going on right now between the University of Idaho and the College of Southern Idaho and our other education partners. Very excited about that. It looks like that could actually come to some. You can't talk many Idaho. You may have smelled them driving through. You can't talk about dairy without talking about immigration, law, and the environment. Those are sometimes uncomfortable subjects that we need to consider in South Central Idaho. Excuse my lack of organization here. A couple of other employers of note that you'll be hearing from one in just a few minutes. Hempatexture, employer in Little Tiny Hanson. I'm excited about artisan perfume and cosmetic company. And so one of the things that attracts scientists and plant scientists that we have. And just over the hill from Hempatexture's new facility, there are Crossroads Agri-Beef, if you're familiar with the Agri-Beef company. It's the Rebholz family, Idaho family, who are meat processing. Also in Jerome County called True West. The thing that's significant about all these companies, by the way, to me, is not just that they're hiring people. Excellent employers and community partners, and we're so happy to have them. They treat their employees well, they treat the community well. By the way, at lodging and the 2% lodging data, we find that there's just been other in the Sun Valley has also experienced a tremendous bounce back from people coming working for people out of state. That's of to us, and I'm heartbroken. Son, there are also happening housing that we haven't really hung on to their homes. I've got 3 generations in my house. Stop and count. My granddaughter, I almost forgot about. And so the dynamics of housing and who's living where are really interesting, and I think that's not isolated to South Central Idaho. Haley, that on a daily basis, transportation and logistics, go east and west pretty easily along I-84. We're having a really hard time going north from there, and that's a whole problem. Group that's working on. I'm a community college engines in our effective. All of the items to me at an all-time high. Now for 8 years, I'm kind of an old timer. Living in really good times. There's a lot of collaboration between and not just education institutions, but with our school districts and our school district partners. We're about to launch you.
Appreciate it. What I really liked about the grit of what effect about having them come back to Idaho, but if they can't house, it should be some. That's awesome right now. Hempatexture.
Can you a few times during this conference. Before I share a little bit more about our business, what we're doing, give you the update of our facility, I'll share a brief story of how I found myself in the gym. I really did enjoy hearing about
all the data of folks that are moving to Idaho. And I moved here about 8 years ago, so I'd like to think that I did it before it was cool. And Idaho, of course, is for a lot of reasons, and a great state to have a business. But the short story is, one day my phone rang after I had launched my startup concept hempitecture for my dorm room at Hobart College in upstate New York, and this person asked me if I'd be willing to move to Idaho to work on material. This was 2012, so there wasn't really any state in the United States that using industrial hemp as a material didn't sound crazy, given that it was a federally illegal substance. But fast forward, my phone rang. The first in the state of Idaho, and also thankful to have my way here, and also to be a part of the community in the magic. We are integrating with the resources exist here in the Gem State for businesses like mine. But not long after I moved to Idaho, I began to see some of the dominoes fall across the United States, and those dominoes being legalizing industrial hemp legislation. First it was Kentucky, Colorado, New York, and I had found myself moving from that had legalized industrial hemp from Idaho, the state of the country, but across the world. So really back when many of the states that share the same values we were restoring this agricultural in the Wood River Valley.
Just a quick background of the internal effort on key performance indicators.
Sorry, I think we had some overlap. Yeah, not long after, I found myself driving to the State House and testifying on mineral hemp in Idaho. But it was in April of 2020, economic opportunities in Idaho. Well, I think that begets a bit of an explanation or further explanation and what we're doing here in Idaho. So as you could probably gather from the name, and I mentioned earlier, Hempitecture is a sustainable materials company that specializes in the distribution and now soon the manufacture of sustainable hemp building products using natural little walk Idaho. Not only that, insulation, composites, and it stores 9.8 tons of carbon dioxide per acre. So this lends itself as an ingredient towards more sustainable. Idaho really has begun to recognize the potential of this, especially with that legalization of the bill that was passed in April of 2021. And Hempitecture is the proud recipient of a 20 grant from Idaho. As someone who here me to see the resources that exist at the University of Idaho, particularly at the College of Natural Resources up in Moscow. Incredible people, incredible students. So we're really excited and thankful to have received that grant. But as we've countries, Canada, the Netherlands, France, Italy, and with the 2018 bill that I had mentioned, federal level, it allowed us to begin to look more regionally. Montana, Wyoming, Oregon, Washington, and now we feel like we can look not 10 hours with this new crop because we're really helping define and market for the raw material. You could ask any farmer in the ground without knowing where it's going or knowing who the buyer is, and we believe that the emergence of the industrial hemp industry is definitely a step. We have a lot further to go. And it involves the idea of circularity. It involves the idea of seed to product cycles in the Gem State, not just for businesses like Hempitecture, but for other businesses, whether it's food tech or ag tech or just really introducing a new rotational crop into our right here in Idaho, which I'm certainly bullish on and I believe has a lot of potential. talking about CBD or cannabinoids. We're talking about an industry for fiber, for herd, for grain. It's an industry that I really do believe is in way with our Idaho way of life, and I think that it's going to Gem State. So, partner Tommy Gibbons represents Hemp Protector today. We're excited that Tommy Gibbons represents Hemp Protector today. We're excited to announce and share that we're a manufacturing facility at square feet. Facility that's nonwovens seem perhaps like an obscure concept, yet you and I interact with nonwovens on a daily basis. If you've worn a face mask in the last year or 2 years for that matter, that's a nonwoven. High products or nonwoven components are made with nonwovens. So we have a lot of potential to create more sustainable, advanced biotechnology enhanced products related to utilizing this nonwoven facility. So we expect to be able to realize that there is the best chance of success in what we believe is an increasingly competitive national landscape. And to do that and really support and help cultivate, I suppose pun intended, cultivate.
That's right. We've got
new research and business opportunities. One of the top states with a major student research in Pocatello. Its recruitment of new students and top faculty, and as a top tier research institution, students not only receive a quality education, students more employment, the opportunity in region. The workforce is shifting and a lower workforce. We have a very diverse economy. Idaho ranks number 2 national friendliness and low taxes. Idaho is also recognized as a pro-business, pro-growth state that offers a stable environment. These are important factors for companies seeking relocation sites. It's important to note that without Idaho's ranking and strong support to be a pro-business state, Region 5's largest city foreshadowing factors is keeping up with Idaho cities. We are really an information technology and cyber hub here in the Department of Justice in Pocatello. The FBI has plans to expand nearly its existing workforce in the next 24 months. And in addition, towards hiring of several what we refer to as public partnerships. Impact number 2 is the growth and expansion of a number of advanced manufacturing companies. For example, Lamb Weston spending $450 million to expand capacity at their as Eastern Idaho still maintain a position for holding the state's second largest workforce. But without Region 6, Region 5 alone would not hold this position. Idaho State University's research and development activities, student population growth, and recruitment of new faculty continues to grow. Even with positive, Region 5 still continues to lose its young workforce to surrounding region and states. I-15 corridor is the backbone. It's the connector for bringing workers, visitors, goods, services, and new business into the region. It also serves as the connector. Unfortunately, the healthcare sector here has grown over the last decade. It's become a dominant player in the regional economy. Currently, the healthcare accounts for approximately 15% of all the jobs in the region. Along with top producing 5 institutions of higher education, student enrollment continued to grow in those institutions of higher education. Student enrollment continued to grow in instances exceeding previous year's fall student enrollments. With 5 top producing research and educational institutions, Eastern Idaho offers a strong, highly trained workforce for existing players as well as new businesses seeking vision to development through the
our aftermarket company, so they high-end to utilize. It was just myself. And in Amsterdam, pretty big cats in the room. We luckily have a pretty good pattern for growth. The larger companies that we do outsource training for. So as their needs increase, and we are growing our own business on the side to hopefully start taking over that side where we are not in need of them, which we've luckily been able to do. Currently, our own business occupies at least 50, 60 doing all the outsource for those other companies. So that's allowed more control over our current growth pattern and kind of where we're going. But that's kind of us and where we're going. Hopefully, this has helped, and I really wish I could be there. Fortunately, got COVID while I was traveling to Scotland, so stuck in out here. But would be great meeting you all, and thank you very much for your time.
Jaws Tech, reaching out to the world from American Falls. Very cool.
Yeah, how about that?
From southeast Idaho.
Is, as many of you have been aware of, the small-scale nuclear reactor, the modular reactor, has been in the news, and that's been coming about for a number of years, but that looks like that is just due to tee off as a contract was signed to get 6 under production here in the near future. We also have a lot of what I call bamboo growth curves, where a lot of things have been happening for a number of years, and now they're starting to bear fruit, and we're seeing dramatic growth. Recently announced Stu Kent from the knowledge side of virtual materials for colleges and universities in terms of curriculum development to displace the traditional paper-bound materials for education needs. They received a huge capital influx from Trinity Partners that was announced earlier this year that's really going to help them scale. They've also added about 20 new professional grade jobs recently in the region. However, a discipline, if they're not bound by geography, it's been a big part of what keeps our market clicking and throws a lot of resources that get diverted into other areas. Opportunity startups of the tech parts that in terms of what the economic outlook looks like.
That's hey. Hey.
To very skilled manufacturing workers, 12,000 to be able to diagnostic. Again, ultimately, today's presentation for me has been very enlightening to hear that many of the companies, many of the regions are experiencing the same thing, and that Curtis Wright can help bring a lot to the table to help spur some of the, not only the innovation, but also the economic development by bringing in a host of people like myself from other areas. Contact information.
Hopefully the mic's here. And if you could put my... Lois, everyone did get a chance to listen to the governor's state of the state. So his priorities and funding potential continue to support education, infrastructure investments in roads, water, broadband, cybersecurity. These investments in this vision and these priorities will continue to keep Idaho on its amazing trajectory. In 2019, the governor to support a broadband task force. Recommendations are the gaps, where opportunities for more investment in broadband, particularly in smaller communities and rural communities. We were approved to have the Office of Broadband by the legislature within Commerce in 2020, just before the pandemic. We were poised well when the CARES dollars came about to help invest in broadband investment across the state. Last year, the legislature a new awarded $45 million of state funds expansion. Governor's to the state presentation, $225 million in broadband will be invested over roughly 3 to 5 years. So what's happened so far? This chart up on the slide, or the slide that's up projected right now. If you look left, that's the 2020. There's a lot of jobs that are unfilled in this state in the area of cybersecurity. Key initiatives, because I know presented some of just on the left, Region 1, and maybe these were covered because I wasn't here at the first part, but very important Metal Quest, precision manufacturing, continuous composites, who's been continuing to improve in a variety of areas. Mining, seeing big improvements as well. Timber Plus, grant from the Albertsons Foundation here to improve telehealth services and being complemented by some of the broadband expansion efforts. Standcraft ribbon cutting last year. Region 2, burning glass with the purchase of EMS. Again, further investment in Idaho with a knowledge base. U of I and Alaska and Boise expanded first phase of their Pet IQ had their ribbon cutting in Eagle, Idaho. Expanded their Tech, who gave presentation earlier, held middle of December. Or Idaho and facility in catch breaking for the into our inquiries and then our wins, and it peaked in fiscal year 2021, which was last June 30th ending, with wins and inquiries, but extremely strong start with just half of fiscal year 2022. We're on pace to have less than 10 years. It's dollars in company or in university work with companies that have Boise State, Idaho State, University of Idaho, corporate partners that are at need more research, would like more information about their product or Twin Falls area, and tax reimbursement incentive for their growth. They broke ground, as we talked about earlier, so off to an amazing start. Plug for iGEM. These